We spent a lot of time debating whether or not we were actually going to make this video that we're going to share with you today. And the reason is because there's a lot of things that are going on right now in the US that are not only very controversial, we want to inform and we want to serve people. And in no way is it ever my intention to say, you know what, there's all this crazy shit going on right now. Like, let's feel the need to capitalize or take advantage of it for our own personal gain. And the only thing I could say is the media cycle in the US the last 2 weeks has been absolutely outrageous and nuts. And to be honest, it's pulled on my heartstrings a lot. Just all of these different events going on, from what happened to former President Trump to what's going on with President Biden to Kamala to just all of these different things that are happening that just expose so much of the underbelly, the dark underbelly of the beast, where Amanda's like, we have to talk about this. We need to make a video. I'm like, I don't know. There's a lot of shit happening here, and is this really our place to comment? But we decided that in the spirit of being of service and informing you guys and making sure that you have information to make the decisions that you need to make in your life, because that's what this is all about. We're really here to inspire people to take actions that they weren't going to take before. So on that, we figured, you know what, we have to do it. This is for our people.
In addition to that, since all this news started breaking out, starting with not even starting with the assassination attempt, starting with the debate that Donald Trump and Joe Biden had, ever since then, we've had question after question after question about leaving the United States and moving to another country and how to do that as an American. And ever in the last 10 days, we've probably gotten more questions, more emails, more comments, more DMs, more friends reaching out because they're feeling extremely concerned about what is going on in the United States right now. Many of them have told us that, living in another country, moving overseas, starting to diversify globally with residencies or second passports, or diversifying their finances, their businesses, seemed like kind of like this far off in the back of their head kind of a thing. But in the last 10 days, with everything that has gone on, they're like, it's no longer a thing in the back of my head. It's something I really seriously have to start considering. So because of the influx of things that we've had coming to us in the last several days, then we said, okay, let's do a video and let's talk about this stuff and let's help the people, because a lot of people who've been on the fence about living overseas are starting to feel not so on the fence anymore. Where would you like to get started? Where do we even start with this? Because my God, the news cycle in the United States in the last 10 years, I have whiplash.
It's really hard to
every day
keep up.
it's something new.
Well, first, if you're here, if you're watching this video, make sure to give our video a like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, because that helps us out a lot. And it also makes sure that you are notified whenever we have breaking news, whenever we have information that's going to be relevant to you as an entrepreneur expat or soon to be entrepreneur expat. And also check out the free guide in the description of this video, which is our Moving to Mexico guide. And that's going to help you along with the different steps that you need to take if you're interested in moving to Mexico. You're also going to get other resources through our email list about different countries and other things that we recommend in terms of starting your entrepreneur expat journey. And you're going to be the first to get notified whenever we have a new video that comes out.
So I guess let's start with the elephant in the room, which is not so much of an elephant, which is the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Like, before getting into this, I want to be clear, we are politically homeless in the United States. We are neither Democrats nor Republicans, nor are we hardcore liberals, nor hardcore conservatives. We're probably a little bit more in the independent crowd where it depends on the issue is the answer. And so I want to start there. I also want to be clear about the fact, please guys, please be respectful in the comments while we're talking about this stuff. You can believe whatever the hell you want to believe. We believe in free thought, but please be respectful. And also keep in mind that we have in our community, it's across the political spectrum. People here are not necessarily super conservative. They're also not necessarily super liberal. You should see the emails and the comments and the DMs we get. It really runs the spectrum here. The common theme, however, whether people are on the left or the right or somewhere in the middle, is that something is not right. Something is amiss, something is not making sense, and that we're being gaslit and lied to all the time.
I think that's been the case in the media for a long time, but now it's just gotten so crazy and so rampant that it almost is an insult to one's intelligence. So you have to think, wow, if they're really trying to pass that thing off as true, then there must really be something wrong with how the government, for instance, perceives us and the media perceives us. If they really believe that we're going to buy that sorry excuse of an explanation over this situation, whatever it is, and there's many things.
Oh,
we're
there's
going to
many
cover
just
them.
from the last 10 days.
We're going to cover a
Yes.
few of them. But if they actually expect us to believe that that is true, man, they must think we're really stupid.
So let's start with the assassination attempt on Donald Trump. We were actually out all day filming another video for you guys about the Santa Tere neighborhood. And usually when our views and our comments and all that stuff spikes really high on a certain day, I know something happened in the United States. And that's what happened that day. We actually didn't find out what happened until we got home. And I logged on to Facebook and I saw people freaking out. And I said, babe, I think something happened. I think something went down. I'm seeing something about blood in an ear. And so then I went to the news and sure enough, there had been an assassination attempt on Donald Trump. Now, one of the benefits of living in another country is we literally had no idea until we got home. At the end of the day, it's not like people were talking about it out in the streets of Mexico, out and about. So we found out when we got home. And then, of course, like every other American and U.S. citizen watching the videos, and it just keeps getting weirder and weirder and weirder and makes less and less and less sense the more that they try to explain this stuff. I will give an example. I saw Donald Trump speak at an event 2 years ago. He was a surprise speaker. No one was supposed to know that he was going to be the speaker until he hit the stage. No one knew that he was going to be a surprise speaker until we got to the hotel. The thing is, it was literally the worst kept secret of the event. I got to the hotel 2 days before the event actually started because I like to do that when I travel. I like to chill. I don't like to be rushed. Ask this one.
She's a get to the airport 6 hours early kind of person.
I am.
I'm a, they don't close the bag drop until 45 minutes before. So if we're 46 minutes before the flight at the airport, we're good. Even with the service dog, it's okay. We'll figure it out. They'll let us skip the line. Ask me how I know that.
So one of the things that I found very suspicious was just, it looked like there was a total lack of security. I mean, I don't understand how there is an unsecured building like that close to a former president.
Within less than 20% of what that gun was capable of doing, for the record.
Yeah,
Like,
I
it
don't
was-
understand it. And here's
Really?
why.
So that's not in your perimeter? No, absolutely, like zero logical sense.
Besides the fact that it's common sense, the other reason why I don't understand it is because I saw Donald Trump speak in person at a conference, I was able to experience Secret Service and security for a former president firsthand. And in some of our comments, it's not just Trump. In some of our comments, people have said, hey, we were doing a project and Obama was involved in the project and the Secret Service was nuts. So it's not just Trump. It's every past president that needs to have a certain level of security.
And that was long before he was going to run again.
This was before he was going to run again.
right? This was
He did
still in the
not-
middle of Biden's
Yeah,
term.
he did not talk about politics at this event. It was a business event. It actually changed my mind a little bit on Donald Trump because I didn't vote for the guy, but then I saw him talk business at this event and I was like, oh, I actually learned something. But that's neither here nor there. The point is, it was the worst kept secret of the event because by the time everybody got to the hotel, and they're like, hey, there's going to be a surprise speaker on Friday. Make sure to follow these very explicit instructions because security is going to be very high. We'd already figured it out. And the reason that we figured it out, you couldn't go to the bathroom. You couldn't go to, well, obviously in your hotel room, you could go to the bathroom, but you couldn't go to a public bathroom. You couldn't go in the elevator. You couldn't turn a corner. You couldn't go anywhere without running into a Secret Service agent. I was in the elevator with Secret Service agents just trying to get from one floor to the next.
And that was in an inside area.
And that was in an inside
of a building.
area. And then in addition to that, the day that he was supposed to speak, he didn't come on stage until 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning. We were lined up for security at 6 o'clock in the morning. Granted, it was an event of like 10,000 people, but we were lined up for security at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then in addition to that, it wasn't just Secret Service. It was Secret Service. It was local police for Hollywood in Florida. It was Broward County. It was Florida State Troopers. I think the firefighters were there at some point. And on top of that, there was private security that I think the event had hired to be extra safe. There were people staying in other hotels that were coming to the event. And so they had to obviously line up at 6 in the morning with the rest of us. And from what they told us, the streets were completely shut down. There was increased security at their hotels as well. And once we got into the conference room where Trump was going to speak, you couldn't get up, you couldn't move, you couldn't even go to pee. We couldn't do anything until the man had not just left the building, but left the area. So I find it just astounding. Just astounding. And other people who have experienced Secret Service because they were involved in a project or they were at an event and then a former president was there, like that stuff happens all the time in the United States. They're saying the same thing. They're like, this is weird. This doesn't make any sense. This was not my experience of security when I was around a former president or saw a former president speak.
Yeah, there was a huge lapse in security, 100%. And whether you want to speculate as to whether that lapse was intentional or due to just an insane amount of incompetence compounded by a very, very, very unlikely combination of errors made one right after the other, that's your prerogative. We're not here to really tell you what to think or what to believe, but knowing what we know about...
We were this close. Like the United States was an inch, not even away from civil war breaking out. And that is extremely alarming and very dangerous.
And then on top of that, you have everything that's going on with Biden now. I hope that he is okay. I hope he's all right. I do. But there's been a very weird just set of circumstances combined with nobody seeing him, combined with multiple reports of him having to be medevaced from Las Vegas. If you look into that, I know that Charlie Kirk has done some things on X about that.
It's not even just that. It's the fact that they've been covering up for months.
Well, they've been covering up the
health issues,
the dementia or whatever else is going on there for a long, long time. And we're expected to just not even notice it, I guess. I don't know. The challenge is, and this is what I see in America, and this is what a lot of our followers are probably also experiencing, is that there's no in-between in the US in terms of politics. There's no in-between at all. Either you're like, hey, I'm pro-Trump, we love Trump, whatever, or you're on Team Biden, and there's no gray area. There's no
and now
area
Kamala,
in between.
because now there's infighting, which is a whole other thing. You know?
Yeah, now even the Democrats are fighting amongst themselves. Which makes sense because they're completely taking democracy out of the democratic process, which is ironic for a party that's called Democrats.
And for a party who's been saying for years that the other people are the threat to democracy. They're all a threat to democracy. I think that's the point that we're trying to make here. They're all a threat. And I was having a conversation with someone earlier today. She's going to be on the channel. We're going to be doing an interview. And she runs her own business. She still has a job, but she has a business on the side. And we had this conversation today. And she was like, listen, I already had an inkling that I was supposed to go to another country after the events of the last 10 days. For a fact, I have to start making some moves. And then now we're going to be chatting in a couple days to see how she needs to optimize her business. Number one, so she can handle an international move. And number two, so she meets the requirements for residency in Mexico. And not just Mexico, but other countries are getting more expensive too. So
That's strict.
and strict, but we'll get to that momentarily. Let's talk about the situation with Kamala, because a lot of people are feeling like, oh, I'm just going to get with her. What is it? Blue no matter who. That's the slogan, blue no matter who. And then there's other people who are like, okay, but why isn't this going to the voters? Why is this not being a democratic process? And then
Like an open convention.
like an open convention.
And here's why. Follow the money. Biden drops out, the only one, and trust me, they've tried to figure out their way around this. But if Biden drops out and he's not on the ticket anymore, the only one who gets all of those, I think it's 200 million that they raised.
250, I think.
Yeah. All of those hundreds of millions of dollars from their constituents, but really they're super PACs. Who gets that? Kamala, and only her. She's the only one that's entitled to it. They can't just transfer that to someone else because she was on the ticket before.
So this is just in the last 10 days. And if you're living in the United States and you feel like this is batshit, number one, it is. And number two, and we can tell you from living outside of the United States, it looks even more batshit than what you were
People
possibly
here are asking
experiencing.
us questions. They're like, are you guys okay? Like, what is happening in your country? Oh, and about Trump. Yeah, they say this isn't our opinion. But like literally the kids that work at a juice bar close to our house are like, yeah, we've seen that a lot here in Latin America, and that was definitely an inside job.
That's what I heard.
A very
at the nail
poorly
salon.
executed one at that.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
I heard
your
at the
nail lady
salon
said so too. I'm
The
like,
nail salon said the same thing. That was an
we're not saying that.
That's what Latin America.
But that's what everybody here is saying, just to give you an idea.
So, with that being said, things are not going to get better, guys. I know a lot of you have like 5-year plans, 10-year plans. Some people think Donald Trump is like the savior of democracy. He's not, right? Obviously, the Democrats aren't really talking about democracy at this point with what they're doing. I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening. But at this point, it doesn't look very democratic in terms of what's going on. This is going to get ugly, and this is going to get worse. And this is why a lot of people feel, and again, all sides of the political spectrum here have been emailing us, commenting, DMing, tagging us in posts on Facebook, that they feel like the time to get out is now or start making moves. Like a lot of you voted and said that you moved your timelines up to get out of the United States. So we're here to tell you, yes, you have to move. And you have to move quickly because things are going to get worse. And as they get worse, it's going to be more difficult to leave the United States. And both our families fled communism. Yours from the Soviet Union, mine from Cuba. Y'all, this is not looking good.
It's not.
It's not looking good at all. And you're going to want to leave. What are some of the things that we're seeing get more difficult as more and more people are trying to get out of the United States?
So finding residency in other countries is now getting more difficult. The requirements are going up. In some cases, places like Dubai are even significantly increasing the tax for foreigners. There's less countries that actually want to accept Americans as residents, at least as easily as it was before. And I think that you're going to see over the next 12 to 18 months that even tourist visas and things like that are not going to be as easy to get for Americans.
That's already happening.
And in fact, with Brazil, it already happened. They went back to requiring a visa in advance. And it's only going to get worse. Like, it's not looking up for the U.S. right now.
Yeah, so what you need to do to get out very quickly, number one, just pick a country. We live in Mexico right now. We like Mexico to start. We don't plan on being here forever because we're a little nomadic. But, Mexico is a good place to start. Portugal is another good place for Americans. Southeast Asia, it's going to depend on what floats your boat, okay? So pick a country. Number two, know what the requirements are because, as you just mentioned, they keep changing and they keep getting more difficult. And it's going to continue happening the worse that things get. Number three, find a way to make money online. A lot of you have been commenting and you've been saying things like, oh, I don't meet the requirements for Mexican residency. Go learn how to make some money and go learn how to make money online. If you need help with that, we can help you do that. We've been doing this for 15 years. at this point, helping people start, run, and build online businesses. Figure out a way to make money so you can meet those income requirements, at least for Latin America. And then I think with Asia, it's more, well, they have digital nomad visas, but for residency, I think it's more based on savings and investments. You know, find a way to make money. We live in the age of the internet. You can make money literally from anywhere in the world. And there's tons of options on how to do that. And we will have videos coming out. And once you have figured out that part, leave as soon as possible.
That's our recommendation. Don't say we didn't tell you so.
Don't say we didn't tell you, because later on, when everybody's trying to get out at the same time, it's going to be a lot more challenging. All right, I think
that's about it.
I think that's about it. If you liked this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Let us know in the comments how you're feeling with all of this. If you have not voted in the poll, and you can let us know in the comments. If you don't feel comfortable sharing publicly, you can find us on social media and DM us, or you can email us.
Make sure to get your Moving to Mexico guide below, and you're also going to get all the other updates we mentioned, including all of our latest videos sent straight to your inbox. Don't forget to do that. And like this video, it helps us out a lot with the YouTube search engine.
All right, guys, we will see you on the next one.